It's currently winter here in Toronto, and I'm feeling just a little bit under the weather. But then I thought to myself, what better way is there but to cheer myself up with some amazing food? So that's why today I decided to take a quick flight from Toronto to Montreal with Porter Airlines and try the best poutine in Canada. But on my way back, I'll be traveling in much more style, actually enjoying the comfort of business class aboard Via Rail's train. And can you imagine that I was able to score that business class ticket for just $93? So here I am at Toronto's Union Station, but before we actually talk about the best poutine in Canada, my first stop in Montreal is actually going to be the Notre-Dame Basilica, because what I also want to do is time both of my trips. So as soon as I leave Union Station, my timer is going to start and the Notre-Dame will be the finish point. And on my way back, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, but this time Union Station will be my finish point. So I think with that being said, we are ready to go, so let's go ahead and catch that Porter plane. In 3, 2, 1, best poutine in Canada, let's go. And I started making my way towards Montreal. First things first though, I did not have to go all the way to Toronto's Pearson International Airport because my flight today would be departing from a downtown airport called Bishop. And lucky for me, Porter Airlines actually operates a bunch of shuttles that run between Union Station and the airport itself. Also, did you know that you can actually track the location of each bus on their website? And here's a QR code for you in case you ever need to track one. I boarded this shuttle and about 5 minutes later we left. And at that time I saw something. Had no idea, but there's actually free Wi-Fi on board these buses, which is, you know, it's kind of nice. So in addition to free Wi-Fi, these shuttles are also completely free. They run every 15 minutes or so from about 5 a.m. in the morning to midnight. It's early morning and there's no traffic, so maybe that helps, but it took us less than 10 minutes to get from Union Station to Bishop. So next time, if you're going to Bishop, highly suggest you to take this shuttle. And now I need to figure out how to get from here to there, because Bishop is an island airport. So I can either take this ferry, which is the second shortest ferry in the entire world, or there's also a pedestrian tunnel located underneath the lake. So let's take a look. Kind of crazy to imagine that we're currently underwater. We're actually 100 feet below the surface, and this tunnel, I would say it's relatively new. It opened back in 2015, cost $82 million to build, and it takes just 6 minutes to cross. But it's nice, it's warm, and you don't have to take a ferry anymore. On the other side of the tunnel, there are no elevators, it's just a very big escalator. I wonder why they didn't do it on the other side. Actually, today marks my first time flying out of Bishop Airport. In my, more than 12 years of living in Toronto, I never had a chance to fly out of Bishop. It always used to be Pearson, so I'm so excited to actually try out this, downtown airport. And this is why this airport is called that way, because it was named after the First World War ace, William Avery Billy Bishop. The first impression of the airport is that it's extremely peaceful and quiet. The problem is that my ticket, is so cheap that I actually couldn't get a boarding pass on my phone. They said I had to check in at the airport, which was a little bit annoying. So I had to stand in a quick line and I was able to get my boarding pass. Yay. But now I need to go through security and it's exactly 1 hour until my plane departs, so good timing. And just passed through security over here, which was a breeze. The only thing I had to take my shoes off. I don't know, every airport is different. Somebody asks you to take your shoes off, some airports they don't ask you to take your shoes off. I don't know what's that logic about, but we're now in the departures area. And my boarding starts in about 5 minutes. but I had a chance to quickly walk around this departure area, and first thing that I noticed is there's a lot of seats, like comfortable seats, for you to just kind of wait for your departure. There's a convenience store, there's a couple of coffee shops, and peace and quiet. Definitely a huge difference between this and Pearson. And that's the Dash 8 we'll be flying today. Feels very private. Hello.
Morning.
Morning. My seat is number 20A, right in the back. I actually specifically opted for seat 20A because depending on wind, they take off in a certain direction, in the direction of the city, and then you get some nice views from here. But I think today winds are blowing from the opposite direction and I wouldn't get such nice views, but I'm gonna try my best. But what's nice about these planes is that they are pretty small, so boarding doesn't take a lot of time, and also there's just a window and an aisle seat. There are no middle seats.
Arrival in Montreal, weather is expected to be about 1 degree Celsius, moderate gusty winds, partly cloudy skies. Expected flight time is just under an hour this morning at 25,000 feet, expecting smooth rides, a possible chance of light turbulence with the weather around it. We trust you enjoy your border service. Welcome on board.
So boarding finished, and we are just taxiing to the runway right now, and look, there's nobody sitting beside me, so I get to stretch a little bit more. Took off, and of course the only thing that I saw from my window was just clouds and clouds and more clouds. So the weather didn't want to cooperate today, unfortunately. But on the upside, I'm gonna stretch my legs a little bit, make myself more comfortable, and let's actually explore what's available on board of this Dash 8 of Porter Airlines. First things first, you have this tiny little tray table over here, which is enough for your snacks or water. Maybe not enough for your laptop, maybe just you can try to squeeze it in, but yeah, it's pretty small. Then of course there's this armrest. Let me actually show you. It's kind of like this. Then there's the safety instructions, Porter magazine, and a barf bag. Now, I would say that Porter is quite a popular choice among Canadians when it comes to travel, but one of their perks is also free drinks and snacks. But in terms of drinks, they offer red wine, white wine, and beer. But today I opted for some apple juice and some roasted beans. What I also was pleasantly surprised with is how quiet these Dash 8s are. I'm all the way in the back, so maybe that helps. But since I had to wake up so early today, I'm gonna try to maybe catch a few Z's, enjoy some of my apple juice, some beans, and yeah, just close my eyes for a second. Amazing, thank you so much. Bye.
Nice
Bye, you too. And I just got off from the plane and met a very nice gentleman who suggested me to take a bus It's a 747 bus that goes all the way to downtown of Montreal, and actually within a very short walking distance from Notre-Dame Basilica. The stop is going to be very close. But first, in order to get on that bus, I need to figure out how to buy a ticket. So let's see, how do I do that? Okay, English. Place your Opus card. Don't have an Opus card? Buy a new non-rechargeable card. Yeah, I think I only need Zone A, Zone AB. Wait, which zone do I need? Oh, here. I think I only need Zone A because I'm not going to go outside of Montreal area, so let's see. This one is also the cheapest, so Zone A for 24 hours, one fare, yep. And total cost $11. Credit, debit card. The only problem that I see here is that they don't accept Amex, so I have to use my MasterCard. Okay. Thank you and goodbye. Okay. Where's my ticket? Is that my ticket? Or is that just a receipt? And I think this is the actual ticket that I'll need to use when boarding, probably. So $11 for 24 hours for one person. The only thing that I found confusing is that you buy your tickets here. There's this mega station with 747 downtown bus here, but the stop itself is actually, it's quite far. Let me show you. So you get out, and then you need to go all the way over there. This is where those buses are parked. So I'm taking that 747, not a Boeing, all the way to downtown of Montreal, and the ride is gonna last about 45 minutes. It's almost as long as the flight from Toronto to Montreal. Crazy. Another thing that I noticed is that everything is in French. Look. What does it say? No idea. All of the signs are in French. I mean, I understand we are in Montreal, but I don't understand what does préparez votre titre aboard. Gotta brush up on my French. Unfortunately, it's quite a busy bus. I couldn't get a seat for myself, so have to be here for 45 minutes, standing, while I'm absolutely starving. I just gotta wait for René Levesque Jean Mancé stop, and then walk a little bit to Notre-Dame. Okay. Oh wow, it's nice and warm. Looks like I need to proceed straight, then turn right. So let's go down this street. And while I'm on my way to Basilica, I wanted to share a couple of my observations I had while I was on that bus. The first one is construction. Montreal is notorious for its construction. Even now, I'm walking through some construction. Two, everything is different. It's crazy how I just took this, like a 1 hour flight northeast of Toronto, and everything is different. Buildings are different, people are different, language is different. You know, my wife and I, we recently visited Paris, and Montreal reminds me a lot of Paris, naturally, but it's crazy how I don't feel like I'm in Canada anymore. I'm actually going to link our experience in Paris maybe on the pop-out banner here or scan a QR code over there, but I'm walking to Basilica. It's about a 10-minute walk, and actually I'm almost there. Look, even Basilica is under construction. Really? Like, out of all days, they had to do construction today? But I think I'm going to pick maybe this spot as my finish point, and I think, let me just, oh, perfect timing. So it took me 4 hours, 16 minutes and 3 seconds to travel all the way from Toronto's Union Station to here, downtown of Montreal, in front of the beautiful Basilica. Of course, I was not the fastest. I was not running from one bus to another. The flight itself, though, was extremely quick. By the time we actually got to our cruise altitude, it was time already to descend. Now, you see this beautiful Basilica? Put a pin in that. We'll come back to it a little later. Now, I'm starving so much, I cannot wait for that poutine. So let's go and get it. Now, I'm not sure if you can tell by my face, but I am a little bit cold. The weather for Montreal today is actually pretty good. It's like 0 degrees, so it's pretty warm for January, but with a little bit of wind, the weather does get to you. And when I was booking this trip, I knew that this would happen, so I decided to get myself a car. And I booked that car through this car sharing platform called Commune Auto. So I have it for a few hours, so I'm just on my way to pick it up, and then we're gonna drive together to the only place in Canada that serves the best poutine. Now, if you're curious to see how Commune Auto actually works, I already made a video about it. I'm going to link it somewhere in the description, as well as feel free to scan this QR code or click out on the pop-out banner. Now you might ask me, Andreas, so where is the best poutine in Canada? And when I was doing my research for this video, I was on Reddit quite a lot, and somebody asked, where can I have some good poutine in Toronto? And then another person said, go to Union Station. There's a lot of trains that are going to Montreal on a daily basis, and in Montreal you'll find some good poutine. So of course I had to come out here. Now, finding a really good poutine place in Montreal is also quite challenging because there's just so many of them. But there was one place that really stood out called La Banquise. And La Banquise has a lot of Google reviews. It's actually a little bit viral on TikTok. And even the gentleman that I met on my Porter plane, he also suggested me to go to La Banquise. So we are on our way. It's about a 5-minute drive. And I think I'm gonna go for something classic, even though I'm absolutely starving and I can eat anything. All right, success. My order is 17702. I just have to wait for them to make it, but as you can see, it's a very busy place. So it cost me $10.95 plus a tip for a classic regular sized poutine. And did you know that they're actually open 24 hours? Crazy. Success. Goods are secured. On my way to consume it. Okay. Oh, God, I'm starving. Okay, I think I need to take my coat off first.
A few moments later.
All right, so I'm not sure why I grabbed 2 forks. So one for me, one for you over there. But here, there you go. Okay, let's unwrap it. Oh, okay. The moment of truth. Oh, okay. Nice. You know, the only other poutine that I kind of eat, not on a daily basis, but from time to time, is the one from McDonald's. So let's see if this one is better than the one from McDonald's. You know, the cheese curds are a little squeaky. Exactly what you need on this kind of, it's not the coldest day, but it's so windy. You definitely need some poutine to warm you up. I'm in a little bit of a food coma situation. I just want to take a nap. I just can't think straight. Honestly, this was delicious. This definitely beats McDonald's poutine. I would say that cheese curds were kind of squeaky on your teeth and then they just kind of melted in your mouth. Fries were really good. So next time if you're in Montreal, La Banquise is the place for poutine, or if you know any other better places for poutine in Montreal, feel free to leave them down in the comments. But now, remember how I asked you to put a pin into Notre-Dame Basilica? Well, we're actually going back to it. So let me just drop off this car and I'll see you at the Basilica in a few moments. All right, and thank you for staying with me here. Before we actually go inside, the ticket cost me $16 to get in. Now they do have a variety of tickets, including Aura, which is their light show experience, Now, I don't have the time to do that, so let's simply go in, enjoy the beauty, and head back to the train station to catch my train back to Toronto, shall we? Now, the first thing that I noticed is that the energy here is completely different from the outside. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but this basilica is one of the largest churches in North America. It can fit up to 4,000 people, and a lot of notable events happen here. There was the funeral of Pierre Trudeau back in 2000. Celine Dion had her wedding here in 1994, and then unfortunately when her husband passed away, his funeral was here as well. And I think what's interesting is that this is one of the few churches that actually depict Montreal's religious history in their windows rather than the Bible. But I'm going to be quiet for a second and I'll let you enjoy the beauty of this gorgeous building. This was quite something. I don't know how to describe how I feel. I guess it just made me think, but it's difficult to describe. Feelings are just weird inside of churches, I think, in general. But anyways, I think it's time to head back to Toronto. I'm going to, again, get my phone. We'll start the timer, and my train leaves in about an hour. So I think it's time for me to start walking. So this is where I finished my trip from Toronto to Montreal, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing on my way back. So this is the time of the plane. Let me just reset it. And we're now on our way back. I'm just approaching Montreal's Central Station, and it's definitely not as grand as Toronto's Union Station. It actually reminds me a lot of like a prison. Like, why do they have so many squares? I think it's for ventilation, but they couldn't make it prettier. That's one thing about Montreal. Things are either super beautiful or not at all. Anyways, I'm gonna go in because it started really snowing. And after about a 15-minute walk from the Basilica, I made it to Montreal's Central train station. And welcome back to the 1980s, because I think this is when this station was designed and built. But anyways, I think as part of my business class ticket, I also get access to a business class lounge. And I never had that kind of access before. So let's go together and figure it out if it actually works. I got my boarding pass and let's go. And I made it to my first business class lounge ever. And the people here are upset with me filming. So I think I'm going to show you tiny pieces of how this lounge actually looks like. But first impressions are, it's very hot in here. There's no ventilation. But I would say it definitely beats waiting in the common area because you can get some cold drinks, some apples, some hot drinks like teas and coffees. Seats are nice, soft and cushiony. There's TVs around. So yeah, I would call it maybe a comfort lounge, but not a business class lounge. Anyways, my train is boarding in about 15 minutes, so I think I'll see you then. My boarding, I think, is starting. Hello. Let's see, thank you, thank you. Well, that's nice. As part of the business class fare, you also get priority boarding. Nice.
Hello.
Hello.
Which car?
One.
Perfect. In the front, please.
Thank you, thank you. Hello.
Car 1, what's your earn?
Thank you. And this is my seat for this trip to Toronto 5S. It's a single seat and I'll be traveling backwards. I am not sure, but I thought I was booking for a new train, and this is a part of their old fleet. I mean, it's still business, sure. Can't complain, but still kind of wanted to complain about this because this is super outdated. The seat is nice and comfy. I can recline back quite a bit. Definitely much more space than onboard Porter, but for now, really disappointed, to be honest. We are about 15 minutes late already, our departure time, so we already missed it. But in the meantime, they started their drink service, and meal service is expected in about 45 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa, and I will be your service manager on board today. On behalf of Air Canada and the entire crew, we would like to welcome you aboard train number 69 en route to Toronto, with stops at Dorval, Cornwall, Brockville, Kingston, Oshawa, Guildwood, and finally, Toronto. Please have your boarding pass ready for validation. If you require further information, a crew member will be happy to assist you. Also, for your information, we departed Central Station with 18 minutes behind schedule as we were waiting for connections from train via 37 coming from Quebec City. I will update you later on as we pick up on speed as our new times of arrival for your final destinations. Thank you, and have a pleasant trip.
I don't quite know what this shakiness is about. It started as we picked up some more speed. So the meal service has just started, and you get this kind of a wet towel. Then I opted for my apple juice. There's a piece of bread. I'm not sure what that is. I also got salmon. There were choices of salmon, chicken, or lasagna. And so salmon with mashed potatoes and a Greek salad. Mashed potatoes, not bad. And then you get this noise every time when there's a rail crossing. They have to beep. And let me actually now try salmon itself. Also pretty good. Whoever Via Rail's caterer is, they're doing a decent job. Salmon, I liked it. Mashed potatoes, I liked it. Bread, well, it's bread. Greek salad, it was so-so, but the best one was this dessert. It was really delicious. So I think now they are just serving some coffees and teas, and I think I'm gonna go for some hot tea. I think I'm gonna recline in my business class seat.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I fell. We are just passing Ottawa, and looks like we picked up some speed, which is nice to see. And we still have about, I would say, maybe 3 hours to go. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to sleep. But before I do, let me tell you a quick story of how I was able to get this business class ticket for just $93. Initially, when I booked it, I actually paid the full price. It was $178. But then I remembered something. The thing is, my wife and I, we became Canadian citizens last year, and every single new Canadian citizen gets access to an app called Canoe for 1 year. Now, Canoe partners with a lot of different companies, Via Rail included, and they give you some special deals. And with Via Rail, they had a 50% off promotion. So what I did is that I canceled my initial booking, I then applied my promo code, and it worked. And my total was just $93. The only caveat is that it was only a one-time deal. I cannot keep using the same promo code over and over, so that's pretty much the only time for now I'm traveling business class aboard Via Rail. And with that being said, I think I'm gonna close my eyes for a bit and try to recharge. So I think I'm going to see you when we are going to be arriving to Toronto. So I'll see you later. And after, I don't even know how long, we're finally arriving to Toronto's Union Station. So now I just gotta run back to that clock where I started this morning and then actually see how long it took me to travel from Montreal to Toronto aboard this Via Rail train. It's crazy how colder it got since I left this morning. It's gonna be with wind chill next week. They say like minus 30 degrees, so there's a polar vortex apparently coming. I think I got lucky with weather in both Toronto and Montreal that specific day because it was 0 degrees in both cities, but not anymore. So it took me just a bit more than 7 hours to travel from downtown Montreal, specifically from the Notre-Dame Basilica, back to where I started this morning at this Union Station clock. So now let's do a full conclusion and let's compare how much each option actually cost, which one was more comfortable, convenient, etc., and see who actually won that race, plane or a train. So first things first, let's talk about price. So for my airplane ticket, I paid $153.92, but I did have to pay an additional $15.82 to be able to choose my seat. Remember how I chose seat 20A to be able to see nice views of the city while we were departing? Well, that never happened due to weather, but the grand total was $169.74. And for my train ticket, I would have paid $178.21, but I did have a pretty unique promo code, 50% off. So I just paid $93.13. However, for the sake of this video, I'm going to remove any discounts from the equation because that promo code was pretty unique. I literally had to obtain my Canadian citizenship to be able to use it. All in all, we're gonna go with $169.74 for my airplane ticket versus $178.21 for my train ticket. Then Porter Airlines does win. The only caveat in here is that I could not bring more luggage on board of my plane, but I could bring more luggage on board of my train. So just keep that in mind. But I was traveling pretty light that day. And now convenience. So I think convenience point goes to Via Rail. In this race, I just had to walk from the Basilica to the central train station in downtown of Montreal, so it was pretty hassle-free. In terms of Billy Bishop, I had to take a shuttle. Yes, it was free, but I still had to take a shuttle. So I think in terms of convenience, it very narrowly, but Via Rail takes this point. And now let's talk about comfort. And when I was actually thinking about making this video, I knew for a fact that Via Rail was going to win. And the thing is, it didn't. It actually lost big time, and let me tell you why. That business class lounge inside of the central train station in Montreal was actually pretty bad. It was hot and people were quite rude. They were like, stop filming, don't film in here. I understand, it's a fair ask. And I did stop filming. I just showed you a very tiny snippet of that lounge. But this is what I remember now, in hindsight. What I remember with my Porter experience, I remember smiley flight attendants, everybody was willing to strike a conversation, and people were very cheerful and kind. And then with Via Rail, people were on the opposite side of the spectrum. They were actually kind of rude. And then when I was inside of the train, I know this was purely accidental, but the attendant accidentally spilled boiling hot water on my shoe. And thank God it was my shoe. It could have been my leg, it could have been my arm, my head. This is also what I now remember, and this is what I also wanted to share with you. The reason why I think that attendant spilled hot water on me was because the train shakes uncontrollably at speeds of roughly 60 to 80 kilometers an hour. In this day and age, this is completely unacceptable. Via Rail should fix this ASAP. Again, maybe new trains do not have this issue. But when you're constantly shaking like this throughout your journey, doesn't matter if you're inside of business class or economy, this shakiness is completely unacceptable. So the point of comfort goes to Porter Airlines. And I think Via Rail should definitely do a lot of work to improve comfort on board of their trains. And finally, speed. Of course, the plane wins over here as well, because it just took me a bit more than 4 hours to get from Toronto to Montreal, and it took me a bit more than 7 hours to get back. And of course, when I was thinking about this video, I knew that the plane was going to win because you know, it travels much faster. But this is where I had my thought, but it should be more comfortable aboard the train, right? And the fact is, no, it wasn't. So to conclude this video, next time, if you're traveling from Toronto to Montreal or vice versa, just fly. And preferably fly with Porter Airlines. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape or form, but my experience was so good and cheerful and just seamless that I actually booked another trip with my wife. Next time we're going to New York. And this is actually also going to be on my channel. So I think congratulations to Porter Airlines, you win. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.